In this video, I'm sharing my vacation with you. It's different from my usual uploads, but it's interesting since I took you along on my trip. A bunch of things that turned camping into an almost very important person experience, even with a portable movie theater. I planned to travel around Argentina on a 1,000-kilometer roadie. Since there were 3 of us, we took my small car, but it managed fine. And since the idea was to camp as much as possible because we all like it, we decided to bring a lot of things to make it a totally different experience. We loaded everything into the car, which, by the way, couldn't fit even a pin more, and we left early to avoid traffic. But we got a crappy day, so we went slowly. I drove very carefully. We drove for hours until I couldn't take it anymore, and then we took a break while I took a little nap until we arrived. First, we went to San Luis, a province that's between where I lived, Buenos Aires, and our destination, which was Mendoza. That day, since we arrived pretty worn out, we stopped at a little house we rented. The first place we went to was the Salinas del Bebedero, a natural salt flat that's basically a giant mountain of salt, where you can go and climb, walk, or even eat. But you do have to be careful, because while I was coming down with the mate and a bunch of things in my hand, I fell, and I rubbed salt all over my butt. My butt hurts like hell. From there, we went to Potrero de los Funes. I really like this place. The road to get there goes through the mountains, and as you get closer, you feel like you're in a series like Ozark or something like that. It's like a small village with cabins where people go to vacation or spend the day. But it has a really cool vibe, like summer. It has a small beach where you can swim, but the day I went, it was too cold, so we didn't go in. But it has the best of everything. Around the reservoir, there's a racetrack that, from what I've been told, is hardly used anymore. But you can go there with your car and basically feel like a race car driver. There's also a hotel that seems important or luxurious. We tried to enter the bar, but a bald guy resembling Hitman greeted us with, "Good evening, sir. Would you like to leave quietly right now? We just had barbecue elsewhere. And by the way, I also took the opportunity to teach my girlfriend how to drive. This is first gear, the clutch, first gear. Wait until no one's coming, okay? Straighten it out. There, you have to shift into second gear. You have to shift it. After leaving there, we went to La Florida, a place in San Luis where there's a dam, but much bigger. We arrived at night and ate amazing pizzas and empanadas at the only open place in town, and that night we stayed at a campground. From there, we set up the tent under a shelter and right next to the lake. I was surprised that it was freezing cold during summer, but I asked, and they told me no, that it was normal. Anyway, we made some pasta in a hurry. You just add water to cook. We brought a gas stove that works with regular gas canisters. It was practical because when it ran out, you just replaced it. And then some sweet popcorn to watch a movie. And to watch the movie, we used this, a mini portable projector that I modified with some car lights to make it brighter, which connects to a power bank, and you can project directly. In this case, we projected it on one of the sides of the tent. The tighter it is, the better, but still, it looked pretty good. We were lucky that night because it rained heavily, but the shelter kept us dry, so everything was great. First time you open it, I can't believe it. Ha 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 ha. Ha ha ha. Look, look, look. Look. Ha ha ha. The patented Italian system. Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha. How about heading to Mendoza now since it's our first day and we're tired from traveling? We also stayed in a house we rented, and that night we went out to eat some burgers downtown. Until then, it had rained daily, and honestly, we were really fed up. I took advantage of being in Mendoza and stopped by an electronics store to buy a couple of things, because it just so happened that the battery regulator on my powerhouse broke. The next day, we prepared to leave, and I realized I couldn't find the car key, and since it wasn't anywhere, I thought, maybe it's inside, so I started trying to open the car without the key. There are several ways to do it. The easiest I tried was sticking Scotch tape on the windows and pulling down. As with all tapes, if the window system is old, worn, or weak, it will go down. But well, in my case, it didn't work. So the other option was to stick something through the door and try to unlock it. The thing is, not many cars have the lock like it's a little stick. So if you're handy, you can stick a string in there, tighten it, and pull up. But my car unlocks with the same handle, by pulling it inward. The owner of the house where we had stayed gave us a stick with a wire, so we tried to stick it through the door and open it with that, but we barely tried. A bunch of neighbors or just people passing by came to help and try to open it. In the end, I stood in the street with my friend, watching everyone focused and trying as if it were a contest. And in the end, a neighbor opened it by fitting the metal rod into the handle, sliding it in from the top of the door, just a little bit bent, and the key was actually unlocked. So, if any of you are watching this video, I want to thank you for the help and for basically doing everything. Meanwhile, I was just watching because those people were so good that they wouldn't even let you do anything. They'd say, stay there, I'll do it. From there, we left late for Cacheguta, a village hidden among the mountains of the range. It's very small, but it has several cool things, like they sell you crafts or food or things like that. There's a suspension bridge that's also quite well known. Let's see, and what happens if you jump? No love, no? But the main attraction is the hot springs. We went on a weekday, and the hottest part of the springs was packed, let's say. A friend said it reminded him of when you put sausages in a pot, because everyone was right next to each other. The complex is huge and very nice. Since I didn't care much about the hot springs, I would just go downstairs. There's a big pool and water park style games, like some pretty cool slides and things like that. There are also mini hot springs all over the complex. That night we stayed at a campsite next to the mountains, and now that it was working, I started using it. The powerhouse is basically my apocalypse computer, a briefcase that has a computer inside, a battery of about 150,000 milliamps, a 12-volt output, and a 220-volt inverter. Since it gives us electricity everywhere, we use it to inflate the mattress. We also brought the solar panel to charge it with the solar panel, but the charge lasted the whole trip, so we didn't even have to recharge it. We stayed and had a barbecue with firewood. I know many will criticize me, but I always try to do things as easily as possible. So for the barbecue, I used the same gas canisters from the portable stove, but with a torch on the end. I used the same mattress air pump to stoke the fire. Once connected, it was almost automatic, as it did the work itself. And once the sandwiches were ready, we started watching Dumb and Dumber on one side of the tent. How, right? Right. What's going on? Leaving? We go through Potrerillos, where there's also a huge reservoir, and when you're driving, you go through a tunnel, and it's like the landscape totally changes. From coming from a kind of arid, rocky, or drier landscape, you start to see snow-capped mountains, more of a southern-style landscape, and very different views. We took the opportunity to go down to the reservoir and throw some stones into the water, because it's fun. We also stopped to throw some more off the cliffs and to visit the town. From there, we headed towards the vineyard area. Mendoza is famous for its wines, so we wanted to visit some. There are many options. I'm not a wine expert, but anyone can visit whichever they like. There are some expensive ones, some cheap ones, and there are even some that are free. The one we went to offered us a tour of the whole place and explained to us how the wine is made, starting with machines that press grapes to extract juice. Then the tanks where yeast is added and the juice is left to ferment. And finally the barrels where it is stored so that it can. And finally a tasting so you can try different wines. It's a nice experience, especially to do as a quick stop since it doesn't take long. Also, if no one sees you, you can go and eat a couple of grapes from the vine. That night our tent mattress broke. It was already old, ugly, and sun-stained. I tried taping it to see if it would hold, but it didn't. Fortunately, I found one in town. How do you fix it? It's basically a glue with a special plastic that you stick on and it seals it right away. To have light at the campsite, we had the big light, which is a light that's used in cameras for filming. But since it had a 12-volt input, we connected it directly to the powerhouse. And we also had 2 of these. These are lume cubes, which are like a little square with a 1,500 lumen LED. It has a battery and Bluetooth, letting you control it with your phone. They also shine brightly. I used it at night to find firewood or attached it to the tent roof for light. They were very useful at night. The next day we visited Manzano Historico, a mountain town known as the place where San Martin rested after returning from the Chile campaign. So there are museums, a monument, and a mountain trek you can do where the views are really beautiful because there are different viewpoints, each one higher than the last. I used my hover camera drone, which folds up for easy storage to take some shots there. So it's really portable, plus it stabilizes itself and has a mode where it recognizes you and follows you. And that's it. The only bad thing is that I lost the charger, so I had to charge it kind of improvised with a powerhouse and some stripped wires. And the last place we visited was the Canyon of La Tuelle. And, well, actually we couldn't get through because when we arrived, they told us we couldn't go through, so that was it. Anyway, you actually could go through. The dam and the views were amazing too, and that's how our vacation around the country ended. I'm sure there are things I didn't include or that I forgot, but, well, I tried to summarize everything as much as possible. I hope you liked the video, and since it's not like my usual videos, let me know in the comments what you thought. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye.